you guys doing? How you guys doing? Do you support reparations for foundational Black Americans? Make an argument. You make claims, they'll be checked live. Don't lie. I appreciate honesty. Do you agree with reparations for foundational Black Americans? Do you agree with reparations, period? How you doing, Keith Enoch? How you doing, brother? Salute to you. I want to know why people agree with it or don't agree with it. I want to have these conversations. I want to have these conversations. I want to have the conversation mainly because I think people, when they go against reparations, they can't really make a coherent argument. So what I don't want to see is a bunch of trolling. What I don't want to see is a bunch of, typical arguments. If you have over 1,000 followers, please hop into the guest box. If you have disagreement, if only if you disagree, TB Green Reborn, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? All love, all love. I need to know why people agree or disagree with reparations. I need to know why people agree or disagree with reparations. I need to understand the reasons why. I want to understand the reasons. Pink Lady, what's going on? My sister, what's going on? You've been over there killing it lately. I appreciate all the content you've been putting out. I appreciate it. Now, guys, I need to stress that I really, really want people to get something out of this stream. I want people to learn something, right? I want people to learn the reasons why people are against something. And it's mostly not due to anything logical. It's mostly due to people being afraid. Being afraid that another group who's being oppressed is going to come up and actually do well. All right. Crocodile Dundee says, I don't believe any is deserving of free anything. We should be live solely in a meritocracy. Well, if that's the case, then it should be a meritocracy, and all the advantages that were given to certain groups should be taken away, right? We should start from square one. Square one, right? Because if there's certain things that's being practiced even now, you have to acknowledge that. And I don't allow people just brushing past claims in the comment section. All right. My moderators keep a good eye on that. So I'm going to ask you, Crocodile Dundee, I'm going to treat you with absolute respect and love. I want you to answer this question. If there's a place called South Carolina, right? And if you understand that was the epicenter of where people were brought in through the port of Charleston for slavery. 40% of your slaves who came through on an actual boat came in through the port of Charleston. And some of those people who are Black are descendants of those people who were slaves. And some of the white people are descendants of people who are slave masters. And I know because I spent 30 years in South Carolina, so I kind of knew my state. Do you think it's fair that those white people keep those mansions and keep all the money, all the inherited benefits over the Black people, especially if those Black people find themselves in poverty, especially if peer-reviewed research actually shows that that's linked to slavery? Do you think that that's actually fair? Because if you do, you're not a good person. You have to have some kind of empathy if you want people to understand your position. Okay, Crocodile. So I'm gonna go ahead and announce this. If anyone mentions Irish slaves, I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna remove you from the chat. That's not an actual argument. When I ask you questions, you don't answer questions with questions. You answer the question. Right? Gen X John Brown says, yes. How you doing, John Brown? Love and salute. I really, really want people to understand the reasons why I'm saying reparations must be paid. Right? I really, really want people to understand the reasons why. So I believe that mainly because if you want to have a conversation, or you want things to progress in terms of healing, in terms of having a conversation, it has to start off on an equal footing. If you understand that you have a population of people who is, subjugated, who was not allowed to read, who was not allowed to live in the same areas, who was systematically pushed out of certain fields, right? If you understand that, then what you have to also understand is that damage done must be repaired. Same thing happened with Italian Americans. Same thing happened with Japanese Americans. Same thing happens with Jewish Americans. And I support all that, because when you do damage, you pay it back. However, when it comes to foundational Black Americans, the biggest debt needs to be paid. The Freddie Chico Show. How you doing? Greetings. How you doing? Let's go read through some of the comments here. MFGR1M says, no, sir. Why do you think so? I'm very curious. J.X. Brown says, good sir. How you doing? How you doing? Lamer Joe says, what's up, light skin? I'm dark skin. All love though. All love though. Vigilant Lance says, bro, what's wrong with slavery? Literally some Vigilant Lance. That's a very unfortunate thing to say, and I really, really wish you wouldn't say that. Chiller guy 135 says money won't fix it. Yeah, it won't fix all the problems with Black America. I understand that, but I'll take the money, right? If let's say, for example, you are in a court case, right, and a judge awards you a judgment, and they say, hey, we're gonna give you $11 billion. 11. I'm gonna make up a funny term for you. $11 billion. Are you gonna say no? Of course not. Of course not. The Freddie Chico show says, definitely agree with reparations for all black. Absolutely. Foundational Black Americans, we have to limit it because, unfortunately, when you open it to every part of the diaspora, then you're going to start getting white people. That's what they're hoping for. So we have to start limited to, areas that were affected and then move out to areas that were a little bit more branched. When Foundational Black Americans, when we get our money, we're going to help everybody in the African diaspora. That's just what we do. Vigilant Lance says, yo, Vigilant Lance, why you have to be so disruptive? See, this kind of stuff I don't really want to deal with. I want to deal with people who want to have serious conversations. No F's Giver says, do you clean your chicken before you cook it? Yes. Good Lord. When you not only do you clean your chicken before you cook it, you clean your utensils and you clean your cutting board. When you use a cutting board, you want to use a wooden one because, personally, when I do cutting of my chicken, I like the feeling of wood because wood, when you sink the actual sharp knife into the actual chicken, it cuts a little bit easier because you can actually cut into the wood a little bit and it catches a bit, so you get a lot cleaner cut. Just my opinion, but. Nice black test. Usually when people ask those kind of questions, they're asking if you're black or not. Yeah, I know how to clean chicken. I know how to cook chicken, man. The Freddie Chico show says 11. I hear you. All right. So A Clock says, bro, block that. That's funny. Felipe Simon says the opponents of reparations are running out of excuses. Yep. A Clock says, you wash your hands too. Yeah, absolutely. J.X. Brown says, that's my fear. That is it. Would it be my people claiming one drop to get reparations? Yes, that's what I worry about. So here's the thing. So it's limited to foundational Black Americans, and here's why. Because when you open it to the entire African diaspora, unfortunately, what that means is everybody's African American to a certain extent. Elon Musk claims to be African American, right? So you don't want to do that. Terminology is very important, especially when you're dealing with things that can become legal court cases. Like my girlfriend, she's a court reporter, and she'll tell you she transcribes all these cases, right? All these cases, and she will tell you language is very important, very important. Ryan, the Don Cook says, yeah, let's do it. They gave reparations to the slaveholders already. Absolutely, slaveholders, they got reparations. They got compensated because their supposed property was lost, and that was an actual historical fact. It happened. J.X. Brown, we'll see. Mercedes Benz says, I'm black from the waist. Wow. Okay. All right. But one of the other issues I want to talk about reparations is very, very important, guys. Some of the excuses as to not give it, right? So a lot of times when you mention this, right, people will say, who's going to pay for it? And these people are so concerned about who's going to pay for reparations. And the question becomes is, were you concerned about us paying for drone strikes? Were you concerned about us being in a freaking forever war in Iraq and freaking Afghanistan? Because I served in both of those conflicts, right? And we were paying contractors, right? Contractors were doing the exact same job that I was doing, but they was getting paid six figures while I was getting paid nickels and dimes and penny and freaking peanuts. Okay, so my thing is that if we can assault our troops like that, right? If we can send over military equipment to police departments, there are small town police departments with MRAPs. MRAPs are up armored military vehicles that we use downrange in freaking Afghanistan, right? They're like these giant 18-wheelers with steel armor plating. It is so heavy that if you drive it on civilian roads, it tears up roads, right? So they're giving out police departments that crap, but they're making excuses as to why they can't give reparations. And the excuses are running out because when you look at the police issue, the whole thing that happened in freaking Uvalde, it made people think, what are we spending our money on? When you look at certain conflicts over around the world, what are we spending our money on? We're not spending our money on anything that's actually substantial. We're not spending our money on anything that's actually going to help the American people. We're spending our money on unaliving people. We're spending our money on things that don't actually matter. When you needed a stimulus check, right? When you needed a freaking stimulus check, they did not want to even give you that. They were debating on that. And yet turn around and gave ExxonMobil, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Raytheon, all the freaking top defense contractors, all this money to send equipment over to freaking Europe. While you're struggling at the freaking gas pump, while you're struggling to buy formula, while you're struggling to make ends meet, while you're struggling to cool down your house because they have destroyed the freaking ozone layer. So it's hot as heck outside, right? But they want to debate on giving you a stimulus check. And now they want to debate on repairing Black America. I am tired of debating for America to do the right thing by its own citizens. If you have no issue with us having bases in Japan, in Germany, in freaking Thailand, in all over Europe, if you have no issue with us having bases around the world, right? Then why in the world do you have an issue with any American, black or white, Asian, Hispanic, it don't matter, getting a check? Because when it comes to other countries, we pay for their defense. Without us, NATO is nothing. Without us, the UN is nothing. We pay for their defense. You know, I may not care for Donald Trump, but he was right. We do pay for other countries' defenses. So if we are going to do that, right? We can pay our own citizens. I have no problem with my citizens, right? Getting a freaking check every month and us cutting off all foreign aid. Because I'd much rather Americans get that money than some other country that I've never even been to. Why do I care about what's going on in Europe? That is not my problem. Right now, people are struggling at the gas pump. Right now, people are struggling to find formula. Right now, people are struggling to cool down their homes because of global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it. The earth is warming up right now. That's why it's so hot outside. And you're struggling because many of you who actually live in big cities like freaking Washington State, freaking Tacoma, Seattle. I mean, cities within cities, right? You don't actually get AC with your freaking apartment, just like me, right? So you had to go to freaking Amazon, right, and actually be on a freaking waiting list because everybody's ordering a freaking AC right now. That's real people's issues. Real niggas. Sorry. Real people's issues. That's real issues. I almost slipped up there. I was getting a little bit fired up there. People are being evicted right now, kicked out of their homes. I don't care about what's happening in other countries. You want to know why? Because even America doesn't care. We only get involved when there's something mutually beneficial for us. We only got involved in Iraq and freaking Afghanistan for our mutual benefit and for the benefit of millionaires and billionaires. We didn't care about those people. We only got involved in the Middle East because we wanted oil. We only got involved in the African continent because we wanted resources. We don't care about those people. You want to know how I know? Because you don't care about the African people right here. I am so sick of people asking me to care about issues that has nothing to do with my block. If you want to have a war in some other country, that is your business. Don't use my tax dollars. Own it. Because people right now are struggling to get formula. Okay? That's a serious problem, yo. See, that is not a racial issue. That is an American issue right now. There are people of every race who are struggling to get formula, to make ends meet, to find enough money to send their kids to freaking daycare. Meanwhile, we got politicians who are getting not only six figures, they're getting health care. The number one reason for bankruptcy, medical debt. I've seen cancer patients who have been homeless. I feed the homeless. I'm out there with them. I'm out there like that. I've seen this kind of stuff. It brings out a different level of rage in me. See, that's what's driving this crazy rant where I haven't stopped yet. See, I'm sick of the American people being abused. And foundational Black Americans have been the main people on the forefront speaking about this. Right? We are so sick of you taking our money and spending it on everything else but us. I don't care about some foreign conflict. You want to know why? I don't want my money going to a war. I don't care who's going to win or lose, who's right or wrong. Because at the end of the day, my money is going to take somebody's life. I don't want that. I want better for my people. I want better for the world. And I don't want my money being used in any part of that. If you're going to use money, pay foundational Black Americans what you owe. If you want to spend money, help single moms pay for formula. If you want to spend money, make sure every American household has an AC unit. If you want to spend money, make sure everybody can actually afford gas. Open up the freaking Federal Reserve right now. If you want to spend money, spend it on infrastructure. How many potholes have you seen? I drive past them every day. If you want to spend money, how about you actually bring learning back to the classroom? If you want to spend money, how about you actually not only bring learning back to the classroom, you actually pay teachers. I don't care if a teacher makes six figures. You want to know why? Because a useless politician also makes six figures. At least the teacher is doing something. You can't show me what Nancy Pelosi or Miss McConnell has been doing. You can't show me nothing, but they make six figures. Why? For what? For what? Make it make sense. Notice I said Nancy Pelosi and also Miss McConnell. I'm not partisan. Everybody can get this smoke. I am sick of how the American people have been robbed blind. Especially foundational Black Americans. You take our money and you spend it on ending lives. You spend it on destabilizing governments. You spend it on everything else but helping the people who you claim to serve. And I mean that to the American government. I am so sick of the American people being financially, emotionally, and even physically abused. If you are an American citizen, you are an abused citizen. Your government spies on you. Your government lies to you. Your government puts false charges on you. Your government targets people based on race, on gender, sexuality. Your government is a bigot. Has been since the freaking inception. And you are its victim. Everybody is a victim of white supremacy and greed. It's not your fault. You were just born into the system that you were born into. That's not your fault. You're not to fault. You are not to blame just because you're white. There's a big difference between white supremacy and white people. It's not the same. And anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you. Not every white person is an evil monster. I know that, obviously. But there is white supremacy. The same way I had to swallow the fact that there is a male hierarchy that oppresses women. I had to accept that because it's true. There are certain things that a woman's going to face that I will never face. Yeah, I'm a big dude. If I walk down the street, ain't no guy going to freaking grab me. If you grab me, it's going to be some problems. All right? But people have to also understand that you could also be actively a part of a system, right, that oppresses another group. And it doesn't mean that you're actively trying to do it. It just is what it is. The same way that people point out, well, it's actually classism. But even in classism, even when you go to a trailer park, you understand that even then racial politics plays a role. Let's stop the cap. I'm from South Carolina. I spent 30 years there. That's a southern state, baby. I know about trailer park freaking politics, okay? So my thing is that if we want to fix America, it starts off with honesty. Let's be honest with our government. Let's be honest about race, about gender, about everything else. Let's be honest. I want people to be honest about everything that happens, right, in this country, because that's the only way we can move forward and hold these parasites that we call politicians accountable. You can't sit here and talk to me, right, about how politicians are so abusive and we gotta blame the politician every time I mention a problem with the country, right? But then you turn around and you tell me there is no white supremacy. How can you in one breath tell me about Joe Biden's 1994 crime bill, which I totally agree was racist, but then turn around and tell me there's no white supremacy? Think about it. Just think about it. I agree with you. Joe Biden is bad. But why do I agree with you? See, this is the problem. So many other people, right? So many people, they're this close to being liberated. They're this close to revolution. This close. They just have to accept simple realities. They're this close. The American people is this close. They are this close to revolution. The gas prices are just out of control. They tried to actually lower them, but it's not really all that much better. The cost of rent is through the roof. Have you tried to rent a freaking apartment lately? Oh my God. Oh my God. We have to be honest about certain issues to actually address it. We can't talk about homelessness if we're not going to talk about black poverty, because 40% of your homeless disproportionately are black people. So therefore, if you fix those problems, you can actually address the homeless problem. Because guess what? When you fix problems, you don't start off with the freaking tail, you go with the freaking head. Okay? Or, like, for example, if you want to actually address the issue with, for example, addiction. Well, we have to concede there's a lot of white men who are addicted. But there's some white men who are so hell-bent on making black men look bad to the point where they won't, whereas they won't even admit to it, so that we can actually advocate for resources to help them. See, that's what I mean by some people are a victim of white supremacy. Right? And when I say white people, I don't mean gross. I don't mean, no. No, no, no. I'm not going to judge you just because you're white. I'm going to judge you if you're white and you're something else. See, it's like this, right? It's like it's kind of how a woman sees a man, right? So a woman says, "Hey, I don't mind, my girlfriend sleeping in the same bed with me because she's also a woman. I can do that." But if you're a man, you're not just gonna do that. So you understand that based on who you are, there's certain things that you just can't do. And there's certain things that people are going to accept or not accept from you. You get that, right? So in everyday life, we get simple concepts just like that, right? Simple concepts. But they won't get simple concepts just like that, right? And by the way, I'm not judging any white person. I'm judging you if you're white and you go against reparations. Because at that point, you're kind of like the man who wants to sleep in the same bed with the woman, while not understanding the reasons why she's not going to do it as quickly as another woman, right? So what you have to understand is that if we want to move forward and progress as a country, understand 2040 is coming soon. You're not going to rule as a minority here. As you can see, we are just 13% of the population, and yet we give you so much trouble because we are not going to just lay down and take people walking all over us, not as foundational Black Americans. And as foundational Black Americans, we will not allow this country to actually walk on anybody else, because these are our lands. We built this country, and you will respect it. This is why you have foundational Black Americans who actually clean up stuff, who feed people, who do the work, because we love this country. You have so many combat veterans who are foundational Black Americans because we just love this country. We've been here so long. That's why we're so conservative. A lot of us are freaking leftists, but some of us do have conservative values. We care about these lands. And if you think that reparations are not coming, if you think that you're going to rule as a minority, because that's what some of the white people are trying to do now. They're trying to pull some of these attacks, some of these attacks, if in grocery stores, at schools and everything else. They're trying to scare us because they understand they're going to be a minority come 2040. And when that happens, they're going to try to do what they've done in the African continent. Whereas you have an extreme minority of white people, a vast majority of freaking Black people, and yet the white people rule. See, they're trying to basically set up that right now with the cops and some of these random attacks, right? Some of them. And I'm in the box anyways. You're trying to misinterpret what I say. So I'm gonna say this to you one more time. Judge me on what I said, not what you thought I said. You do that again, you gotta go. Thank you. I was very kind. Carrie says, no point in trying to convince victims of white supremacy to see the truth. Most lost forever. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want certain white people to see that you're also a victim of white supremacy. Because let me explain to you how. Let me give you a clear example, right? So white supremacy, for some white people, teaches you that you must, never talk with a Black person, never talk with anyone who is not white, and thus that cuts you off from certain cultures, certain experiences, and certainly certain job opportunities. Because if you're racist against Asians, well, a lot of Asians own companies. Feel me? So you can't just do that. So when you are, a white supremacist, you are victimizing yourself by limiting yourself to experiences that you would otherwise have. So I have to get rid of this guy here. I'm in the box anyways because he's just intentionally saying things that just, I can't do that. You see what I mean? I'm just trying to have an honest conversation. Limity Fresh Pine, what's going on? Long time no see, brother. love, love, love. I have been really, really harping on reparations mainly because the time is now. If Joe Biden wants to, get a second term, the time is now. I don't care if it's Joe Biden. I don't care if it's whoever. Reparations. Whoever pays that, right? Whoever pays that, you got us forever. And on top of that, we are known to be the heavy lifters, right? When it comes to progressive movements. You give us that kind of capital. What do you think, right? I'm gonna do if you give me that kind of money. There won't be a homeless person in my area. The local city council, they're already trying to jump down my throat because I plan on buying a 10-acre property. And I want to build tiny homes on it. So I'm trying to ask for permission, right? And they're saying that that's actually not allowed. That I'm not allowed to just build that on my own property if I were to theoretically buy it. So they're trying to prevent me from actually building tiny homes to stop homelessness. It's wild, huh? So, the one thing is that we want people who realize the bigger picture. The bigger picture. If you give foundational Black Americans our reparations, you know what we would do with it. We started a Black Panther Party that had a food program to feed the homeless. We started a civil rights movement that many people benefited from. You know exactly what we would do with it. The only reason why people from the African diaspora are even in this country is because we fought for that. In a second that many of us get our money, I don't care what anybody says, the second that we get our money, if you think that you're going to continue to treat the Haitians like you do, no. Or Jamaicans, no. Nope. Nope. Because we're going to go across the African diaspora and we want the world to realize that Black people have been abused. Black people have been walked all over. And therefore, if we get a period in which Black people can actually be empowered to actually fix things, we're going to go for that because there is a mutual benefit to Black ran countries helping us out. So we don't hate on anybody. We want everybody to come up. Right? We just want us as foundational Black Americans. We just want our due. And we'll do exactly what we've always done, which is fight. Anyways, guys, I love you all. Thank you for showing up and following me and listening to the conversation. Saint Stereo, Limity Pine, Dan Awesome. How much do you think is appropriate? I would say let's start off probably 14 trillion. Let's go for that. But once that happens, right, we're gonna spend money so fast to the point where it won't seem all that bad. Love you all. Be safe. Horns up. Peace out. Good night and good luck.